He said, one of the big reasons I turned out to be what I was because of Stephen Perry.
Well, I appreciate that coming from Joe. And let me tell you what happened, though. The 16th, whenever he graduated high school, I picked him up at Wharton, and we went to Wynnewood, Oklahoma. And we went up there and stayed with Tom Roker with the IRA rodeos. Well, he won. He won $7,500, which was a good bit of money back then.
Yeah.
From then till the 1st of August. Not counting all the other rodeos. Me and him would take off and come down here on the 4th of July and try to go to 4 or 5 of these good rodeos and then go back up there.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he was going to make the IRA finals, but he'd been to a PRCA rodeo and had a $300 fine. Well, they wouldn't let him go to the finals. Well, this is karma, and I always have karma, whatever you call it, good luck. Well, when he made the fine, they wouldn't let him go there, he went to go finish filling his permit. And then I roped at the IRA finals, in 85.
Uh-huh.
Well, he went and filled his permit, and he roped and won the world as a rookie. And I would have been 12th. I wouldn't have got the rope at the IRA finals because they only took 12 and took some region guys. I wouldn't have made it, and he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have won the world. No.
That's unreal. That is actually a crazy story.
That's a true story.
Really? So that he just decided I ain't going to be able to go to the IRA finals because
so
it's
I'm
fine.
going to go film my garden. I'll finish some more of the story. He lacked a little bit on his finals, and I had a big yellow horse, and he rode his horse. Me and Joe had a deal, ride 15%. Well, I'd rather have him riding for 15% than anybody else for 25.
Right,
you know what
sure.
I mean? He won. Now,
he's that good, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, he goes and he hadn't filled his permit. Well, Leesville rolled around. Well, his season didn't end, till right there at Leesville County and some of the others.
Uh-huh.
But the others wasn't taking permits. Well, he wanted to take my yellow horse to Leesville. We met me at Simon, picked him up, went over and rode him. And he won second or third, and he filled his permit. And he was out there kind of griping, and Jenna said, look, Stephen let you bring this horse over here. He said he wanted to bring him at Bryan. He's up in the slack. He might get to ride him over there. Come on, load up and let's go. But he got on that horse, and he won his last money over there at Leesville.
To fill the permit.
And
he goes and wins the world.
I don't think he hadn't been to one rodeo. 1 or 2 rodeos maybe before he went up to IRA. He never knew it. His mother paid the $300 fine when he got to the house. You know what I mean? He didn't even know it was a rule. We just know you couldn't have both cards at the same time, but nothing about a permit.
Really? So you didn't tell a story about how y'all initially got connected. Were y'all just in the same area, going to the same rope-ins, became buddies? And y'all
no. Like he rode home from that rodeo that I went to at Pasadena. Well, then we just, Walter knew me and I knew Walter and everything, and I'd heard about him. There was a man down there at Bezoria, Dean Kirsch, and Joe roped ribbon open for his daughter, and I'd heard about Joe, and you couldn't help but hear about Joe.
Yeah.
He'd rope before God got the message.
That's good. Was he the first one that you cracked out? Because that's what you always hear. Stephen Perry takes these young guys and they just always go and they have all the success and everything.
I imagine Joe was the first one I took, but I've entered a lot of different guys. Atlanta Mango. Me and Atlanta Mango. I'll tell you what, I owe Atlanta Mango a lot.
Yes, sir.
Because he'd come ride them dinks of mine, and I'd enter him, and we've had 2 or 3 crosswords, but we ain't never had anybody I've ever been with. I'm friends with them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You have people rodeo together, and then they get out in the middle of the stream and all that, but there ain't nobody that I've ever been with that I'm not friends with.
Yes, sir. That's pretty cool.
But like Lanham, and then I had that Terry Kitchens, and
I heard David Bowen.
Yeah, David went with me, and I never entered him, never mounted much because he had a good horse.
Really?
But that David Bowen, he was a good fella, and his mother and daddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who else did you cross paths with? Who else did you rope with? Anybody else?
Oh yeah, Kenneth Killing, I went that one year, and I don't know. I just call people and go. Lanham, Terry, had a boy, Chip Gatlin.
Uh-huh.
He had a daddy that roped real good, Norman Gatlin, back, before me.
Yes, sir.
Well, anyway, I took him one summer and we got along real good and had a good time. But what really made me feel good was we was at Longview. Well, Chip fixed to go back to school. And we roped and, he was with his daddy. And anyway, he reached over and grabbed me on the shoulder and he said, I really appreciate you going, taking my son. He got to go and see those rodeos he might never got to go to. Now, he roped after that. He team roped after that. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And then I had Galen Georges went with me a lot.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's a good friend. And Fred, when Fred right up here at Giddings, they'd have those 8-head jackpots and all.
Uh-huh.
And he'd come up there and he'd say, he'd want them. He said, hey, so-and-so wants to rope. He wants to rope for $1,000. I said, I ain't got $1,000. You want to help me? I said, no, Fred, I ain't betting on no roping like that. I said, I ain't doing that. Well, I'd watch him. He'd have a horse. He worked rope with a guy named Casey Buteau. He'd send him up there on some horses, trading horses. Fred worked rope around there and knock around on him. And he'd win a little and all. And about the second, third day, I'd ask him, I said, Fred, I said, that kid still on rope? Oh, yeah, they've been telling me I ain't got no money. I ain't got this. You know how kids can be mean, And I said, well, go tell them you want to rope for $1,500. He said, well, I ain't got but $750. I've won. I said, well, we're going to get the other $750. I said, I'm going to bet on you. He says, well, you wouldn't bet on me the other day. I said, no, but that kid done spent that money. He's going to have to go ask Daddy for it now.
You don't take his daddy's money.
And then Daddy will come down here and tell him how to rope. It'll be a cakewalk, Fred.
His dad's going to be in the box. Yeah, he's going to be screwed.
Be around there, But he could, Fred always, as a kid,
Unbelievable. What did, I heard that Joe said you were the first one that he ever saw be in a match roping, and halfway through you had him somebody beat pretty good, and you say, hey, you just want to pay up and go double or nothing on the second half? Is that true?
Yeah. I was roping a boy named Carl Guillory. David Porter came over and asked us, which is a friend of mine. Carl's was a friend of mine. He said, Joe, you want to rope a match rope tonight? Joe said, no, he had hurt his knee bad in the match roping. He said, Daddy told me not to rope any match roping, still I got stronger. David went to walk off. I said, David, who you want to rope? He said, well, Carl Guillory wants to rope somebody. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, David kind of muttered something about Texas not, being scared. I said, I just want to show you we ain't scared in our truck. I said, I'll rope him 4 for 100. That's what I told him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I ain't roping no more calves. I ain't roping for no more money. 4 for 100. Because I said, I done heard about that young boy. He can rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down there and we pick the calves. Well, I picked 2 of the calves you couldn't catch. And he picked 2 good calves. And, you flip. The winner gets the pick of the cattle or the pick of the position. Well, he won the flip. I thought, oh, man, I'm sunk now. Well, he won the flip. And he said, I'll rope first. I just thought, ooh.
Hey.
I said, run those 2 calves I picked first. Well, anyway, he runs the first one. He runs him off down there. And this son was going to run. He run her down about 24 seconds. We was open over a good friend of mine, Eddie Armstrong's in Henderson. And heck, I put the jerk line on the other side and got off the left. It was 12 or 13, So he come back and he ropes the second one. That sonbuck runs faster than the first one he had. Runs him all down. It's the deep old sand, and he missed him 2 or 3 times. And finally, I told Joe, I said, hey, go over and ask him if they won't pay that 100 off, and we'll just spin these calves back and flip again, start over for another 100. And I said, but stand back from him now, Joe. Don't let him hit you. When you tell him that it might make him mad. Well, Joe walked off about 20 foot, and Carl was sitting down there in the corner. I said, Joe, come here. I said, what's wrong? He said, what's wrong? I said, what's he doing down there? Joe said, I think he's quitting. I said, Joe, don't say nothing about roping over nothing. Let's get that 100 and go. Because I know anything can happen in a match rope.
Yes, sir.
So